welcome to the Total Country Podcast.
Hello and welcome to this edition of the Total Country Podcast. My name is Kevin Angel and thanks for joining me. I've got not one but two guests for you this week. Two brilliant up-and-coming female UK country acts, one from the north and one from the south of England, in Harriet Rose and Kelsey Bovey. Although Harriet has been playing gigs for 5 years, both are in the infancy of their country careers, so I wanted to put these two interviews side by side. It's really fascinating to hear where they are similar, but also where they differ, particularly in songwriting. They are both at really exciting parts of their careers, with Harriet Rose due to release her first ever EP this year, and Kelsey having had a taste of EP success and now building and really finding her voice with the release of her second EP sometime in June. Harriet played over 100 gigs last year, whilst Kelsey is still new to the country live scene, so the parallels are so interesting it made sense for me to put them in the same programme. So let's start with Kelsey Bovey. Kelsey first set foot on the UK country scene around 10 months ago when she released her debut single Define Me, recorded at Puzzlemaker Studios in Bristol, Kelsey's hometown. It's a positive and uplifting slice of country pop, detailing a young person's journey to adulthood dealing with peer pressure and bullying, but focusing on how it's important to deal with that to make you a better person. This was swiftly followed by Kelsey's debut EP, It's My Time, an emotive 3-track debut filled with honest storytelling that shows a maturity far beyond Kelsey's age. She's lucky enough to call fellow Bristol-based country pop artist Danny McMahon not only her producer, but also a friend and confidant in the industry, so big things are definitely coming her way. Under the watchful eye of Rachel Selleck from Scarlet River Management, Kelsey is in the early days of carving out a brilliantly successful career on the UK country scene, and I'm sure she's going to be extremely popular on the festival scene once that gets going again. Kelsey's new single Magnetic is out now, which we do discuss in the interview, and she has a second EP out in the coming months. So here we go, my sit down with the super talented Kelsey Bovey. I'm joined by Kelsey Bovey now. Kelsey, how are you? You right?
I'm good, thank you.
Yeah, I'm good. We were just saying it's a nice Wednesday afternoon at the moment. We're lucky.
Yeah, it's really hot where I am in Bristol. Yeah, it's really lovely to have this kind of weather, especially when you're kind of sitting in your garden and doing all those kind of things.
So how's this weird quarantine situation been treating you in general?
Not too bad. I'm good. I guess it's just frustrating that you can't get out and do gigs and see the world and do all the things you would normally do, really. But live streams have been a lifesaver for me, I have to say. But yeah, it's not been too bad, really. Good.
So that brings me brilliantly on to my next question. So you've been releasing music for about 10 months or so. You've got to a pretty good level of success. You can be modest and deny that if you want, but I mean, I've seen your name all over sort of the UK country scene, especially with all the live streams at the moment. This must be an amazing time for you to really sort of capitalise on your name and your brand and just really grow.
Yeah, it's been really, really helpful. It's really helpful to have different pages. So you live stream on different people's pages and just you kind of get your new audience that kind of way, and also you get those loyal people that will stay with you on your own live streams, and it's really nice that they can just like talk to each other as well as talk to you and interact with you. That's also been really lovely. But yeah, my social media numbers have gone up since lockdown started more than it would normally, which is incredible. And it's just really lovely that I can reach different people like all over the world as well, because I haven't been to like America with my music or anything like that. And like there's a load of American people that love my music. So it's just a really good way to reach different people in different areas that you haven't gone to yet.
Are you starting to work out who your sort of diehard fans are? Are you seeing that now?
Yeah. It's just the people that are promoting me and who are just on my live stream saying, I love this song. I was singing along, just like people that like know the words to your songs are really supportive of what you do. It's just really lovely.
I suppose it makes it all good for when things do change, where you can go back out and then you'll just have loads of people singing along.
Yeah, definitely. It's lovely to see people sing along to your music, just because they've actually taken the time to listen to your music and enjoy it, and just to support you is just a lovely feeling.
Is that still weird for you? People knowing your work, singing along.
Yeah, I mean, I see people like online saying I'm singing along, but obviously you don't actually see that online. But there's been a few gigs where people like I've never seen before, never met before, singing my songs, and I'm like, how is that possible? Like, how has that happened? But it's an amazing feeling, just people listening to your music and like you in action.
Do you enjoy doing the live streams then? Some people I spoke to aren't the biggest fan and feel like it doesn't really give much for them. Where do you stand on them?
I personally really like live streams because I feel like it's a lot more intimate, because with gigs it can be like you can turn up to a pub gig, people don't really know who you are. But whereas with live streams, people are purposely there to watch you and to like interact with your music. And it's just seeing like if people have any requests, like seeing what they like. And it's also good for me maybe to take out to my live sets, like, okay, people kind of like this, people not so sure on that. Just kind of like building like the repertoire, like all that kind of stuff, what people do enjoy. It's really been really helpful.
So for people who have not heard your music and are listening to this podcast for the first time, how would you describe yourself and what music you make? Give me a sales pitch.
I'm basically a country pop singer who likes to write about personal experiences, because I feel like that gives the most authentic results. So things like I've been bullied in school, and I used to write about that to kind of lift other people up. I also write about like heartbreaks and love stories, as most do. It's really standard, but I just try to do it in a fun way. People can just listen to it to let their hair down. They don't have to worry about anything. It's just a place you can just like leave your mind, whatever it's telling you, and just enjoy it. That's really all I want.
So feel good music with a message. You can have that. You can have that.
That was very short and sweet.
I just thought of that then. So you released your debut EP, It's My Time, in July last year. So you recorded that at Puzzle Maker Studios. So I could sit all day and say amazing things about Andrea and Danny. The stuff they release from those studios is just so good, production-wise. We'll talk about your actual songwriting in a bit, but take me back to the first time you stepped into the studio with them and recorded. What was that like?
Well, luckily I've known Danny for 3 years now, so I've started recording the end of 2017, I think. So, or maybe 2018, one of those two. So yeah, luckily I've known him. I'd known him previously through like a music school that I did, and they were all like university friends, I think. So I kind of found my way through there. And then I just got pointed in their direction, and luckily, like, me and Danny were already like great friends, which is always nice to have. And he really understands like my music, and he helps me with all my artist stuff, and he knows what he's doing because he's an artist himself, etc. But walking into the studio for the first time was incredible, really, because it's like walking in there, you know that like what you've been dreaming of since you were little is coming true. And hearing the other stuff they've done, because I love Danny's music as well, so I've heard their stuff before, and just sitting there knowing it's my music and them doing that is like, I don't really have the words right now, but it's just mind-blowing that they can do that for you, and they can transform your songs. They know what makes it commercial. They know what different types of audiences will listen to it, because my first EP, it could go either pop or country. It was like kind of in the two, so we wanted to push it in the singer-songwriter and see if it went country or pop, and the country people absolutely loved it. So I was like, right, that's my direction. But they're just so smart with how they do things, and everything they do is for a reason, and that's what I love about it. They aren't just doing things because, oh, this sounds good. They know this will do this because of this. They're incredibly smart, and they just know what you want as an artist, but they know what will make it viable commercially.
So at the point of the recording, you weren't sure if you were going to go down a pop route or a country route?
No. So yeah, I put my EP and my single in the singer-songwriter just to kind of see which way it would go. And it was I got in touch with like a country music social media, and they really helped me when it started to go country, and they were like, we can help you push it to radio stations and how to do your social media. So those guys have opened a massive door for me for everything that I do now, and all the people I know now, they're just like incredible.
Was country music something you were interested in prior, or was it just, did you know a couple of acts? Or
so it's a mixture of a few things, really. So my dad loved country growing up, which I guess was a massive influence. Also, my mum's friends are like diehard country, and I wanted to like get out to gigs and see all the different genres of music and just kind of be like, wow, 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 wow. So I seen Catherine McGrath, and she was incredible. I've seen Maren Morris as well. She's incredible. So many people that I probably wouldn't have seen because my dad was more like, I don't know, Shania Twain and like the countryside of Train. So all those kind of things. But just getting out and seeing them, you're like, they present themselves so well. Their music is incredible. Like that made me have a special connection. And obviously going to Puzzle Maker Studios, which is a country studio, I guess you could say. Everything just kind of tied in. It kind of seemed like fate that I was kind of falling in that category, because everything in my life has kind of been leading up to that, even though at that time I didn't actually know that was what it was, which is quite cool with me. But
how involved were you in the production of the EP? Did you have that? You've got quite a full, like as you say, commercial sound on there. Is that something that you went in with, or was that the work of Danny and Andrea? That
was mainly the work of those guys. I trust them completely, and in the studio when they're like doing like, what do you think of this? I'm like, yes, because I completely trust them, and I know that they know what I want, and I haven't really made it that clear, but like they can see it in my face if I'm like, or if I'm like, yeah. But to be fair, there's not been one moment in that studio where I've been like, I don't like that, because I know that they know what they're doing. And yeah, but they wouldn't be offended if I was like, oh, I'm not so sure about that, can we try this? But it's all down to personal preference, really. But they want the client's best interest at heart, and they want what the client wants, because otherwise it's not really going to be viable.
Yeah. Do you think you had an added bonus that you built up a relationship with Danny over some time, so he had a better idea of where you were going anyway?
I think so, yeah, because he kind of knows what music I listened to before, and like who my influences were in terms of songwriting. So I guess that from a production standpoint, that really helped in what way to go. So people like Kelsey Ballerini is a strong one as well. Taylor Swift, like just those kind of two, Maren Morris, those three were probably the main ones from a production standpoint and my songwriting. So it all just kind of really flowed in really nicely.
So when did you first pick up an instrument and think, this is something I might like to, have a go at on a bigger scale? Because you mentioned you went to a music school in some capacity as well.
Yeah. So it all started in a primary school year 4 class, randomly. And one of my friends came into the class and she was like, hey, I've got this piano teacher. Does anyone else want to join me? And I was like, may as well. There's no reason why I shouldn't. Luckily, I did that. Otherwise, I wouldn't be where I am today. But yeah, I started learning piano. And then another teacher came in to take over, and that was Louisa Baker, who was like the Bakerloo studio. And she's an artist herself as well. She's great. And she was just teaching me like the likes of piano and all that for probably about 4 years. I learned piano with her as well. And she went to uni with like Danny and Andrea, so obviously they were all mixed in together. And then I used to do classical singing as well when I was in school, which I guess you can't really picture because country and classical are very far away from each other. But yeah, that's how I started, just because that's all they had to offer in my school, really. So I started doing grades in classical singing, and then I went back to Louisa and I was like, I kind of want to start doing more poppy stuff because I feel like this is what I want to do with my life. And obviously if I was to leave school, then I wouldn't have that classical teacher anymore. So I moved over there, and then I started learning guitar with her as well. So at the end of it all, I was doing piano, vocals and guitar with her as well. Yeah, and then I was just songwriting in my spare time. I've been songwriting since I was probably about 10 years old. I found one of my songs the other day, and boy, oh boy, is it good. But yeah, and I guess you could say my songwriting's developed from that. I'd hope so. But yeah, and then Danny kind of took over with teaching me the ropes of all this artist stuff, and he still does it now. He kind of calls me up and he's like, what should we work on? Should we do like some singing stuff? Should we do some songwriting together? Should we play guitar, whatever, just so I can build up my skills as much as I can, just so I can get out in the world and